Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a piece of history that is just absolutely wild, and honestly, it completely reshaped the globe as we know it. To help us wrap our heads around this complex geopolitical puzzle, we're going to do something a little different. We're visualizing it with, wait for it, intricate animated macaroni noodle art. Yep, you heard that right. We are quite literally using pasta to map out the liberation of an entire continent. It's going to be a really fascinating journey, so let's just jump right in.
Okay, let's unravel this historical mystery. Imagine a revolution that was, for all intents and purposes, completely flatlining. The big question we're answering today is this: how exactly was the map of modern South America drawn with Haitian ink? It's this incredible story about a desperate lifeline thrown by the world's very first independent Black republic. And as you'll see, it fundamentally changed the entire course of the Latin American Wars of Independence between 1808 and 1826.
To really grasp the sheer magnitude of what happened, we've got to set the stage. Picture 1808. Spanish America is essentially a massive geopolitical powder keg. Society was locked into this incredibly rigid, highly discriminatory caste system. You had all the power sitting exclusively with the Peninsulares. Those were the Spanish-born bureaucrats. And then you had the Criollos. These were wealthy, American-born Spaniards, but they were systematically shut out of high office. Talk about a spark just waiting for a flame, right? Well, that flame arrived when Napoleon Bonaparte invaded Spain and deposed King Ferdinand VII. Just like that, the colonial link snapped. Across the Americas, these frustrated Criollos started setting up their own independent local assemblies, called juntas, and those rapidly snowballed into outright revolutionary movements.
And that brings us to the guy leading the charge in the north, Simón Bolívar. He was a brilliant, wealthy, aristocratic Criollo from Caracas, Venezuela. People called him El Libertador, and he had this massive vision of a unified South American superpower. But, vision alone doesn't actually win wars. In fact, his early military campaigns to crush the Spanish viceroyalties ended in catastrophic strategic failure. By 1815, the Spanish crown had launched a massive counteroffensive. Bolívar's Second Republic of Venezuela completely collapsed under brutal onslaughts from royalist forces, backed by the Llaneros, these fierce, mixed-race cowboys who initially threw their weight behind Spain.
Now, I want you to contrast these two realities. By 1815, Bolívar is literally bankrupt. He's stripped of his command, he's being hunted by Spanish assassins, and he's fleeing into exile. The revolution is basically dead in the water. Plus, no major global power, not the United States, not Great Britain, was willing to risk the diplomatic fallout of helping him. They wouldn't touch him. But then there's Alexandre Pétion. Pétion is leading a victorious, independent Black republic in the south of Haiti. Haiti had already achieved its own miraculous independence from France back in 1804, following history's only completely successful slave rebellion. So it's on the shores of this thriving republic that a completely destitute Bolivar washed up in December of 1815.
And Pétion didn't just offer him a friendly handshake and send him on his way. No, he threw Bolivar a massive tactical lifeline. Pétion welcomed him in, provided sanctuary, and gave him elite military advisors. He even handed over a printing press so Bolivar could instantly start churning out revolutionary propaganda. We're talking provisions, vital funding, hundreds of volunteer Haitian soldiers, the whole shebang. But perhaps most crucially for a flatlining military campaign, Pétion handed over a massive arsenal, over 4,000 muskets and the ammunition to go with it. These supplies were an absolute game-changer. They gave Bolivar the instant firepower he needed to turn a scattered, desperate group of exiles into a fully equipped, formidable invasion force.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Pétion demanded a monumental moral payment. He didn't ask for gold. He didn't ask for a single inch of South American territory. Instead, he laid down one singular, non-negotiable condition. Bolívar had to promise to immediately abolish slavery in every single South American territory he liberated from Spain. Think about that for a second. Pétion tied the entire survival of Bolívar's military campaign directly to the systemic abolition of slavery.
So, Bolivar takes the deal. Armed to the teeth and backed by Haitian logistics, he launches the Los Cayos expedition in 1816. And, true to his word, the second he lands in Venezuela, Bolivar fulfills his promise. He issues a proclamation officially freeing the enslaved population. This single strategic decree completely flipped the script. It sparked a domino effect that transformed the entire war. By mandating emancipation, thousands of enslaved and mixed-race fighters actually abandoned the Spanish armies and flocked to join Bolivar's patriot forces. Suddenly, he had the massive, highly motivated and unified coalition he desperately needed to tip the scales.
And this momentum built into a legendary, grueling trek across the Andes. When you track the timeline, it's pretty incredible. In 1815, Bòlivar is a hunted exile. By 1816, this tactical alliance with Pétion and the proclamation of freedom that followed completely turned the tide. With this newly unified coalition, Bòlivar was virtually unstoppable. He secures a totally decisive historic victory at Boyaca in 1819, and then follows it up with another massive win at Carabobo in 1821. Haitian intervention literally became the catalyst for a continental victory.
The result? This unified coalition systematically dismantled 3 centuries of Spanish colonial rule. Armed with Haitian weapons, Haitian logistics, and this newly freed coalition of fiercely dedicated fighters, Bolivar's campaign went on to liberate 6 modern-day nations. We're talking Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Panama, Peru, and Bolivia. It was this brilliant, sweeping continental vision, brought to life right there on the battlefield.
But here is where we hit a really tragic geopolitical irony. The nation that threw the lifeline, the nation that helped liberate 6 distinct countries, was not celebrated globally. Not at all. In fact, the international community systematically isolated Haiti. Why? Well, global powers were absolutely terrified. They were terrified that Haiti's successful anti-slavery revolution would spread like wildfire and spark similar uprisings across the rest of the Americas.
And amazingly, this isolation extended even to the man Haiti had saved. Bolivar was facing immense political pressure from his own white, land-owning Creole elite back in Gran Colombia, and ultimately, he bowed to their demands. At his landmark 1826 Congress of Panama, which was supposed to be this huge gathering to celebrate and unify the newly liberated continent, Bolivar completely failed to officially recognize Haitian independence. He didn't even invite Haitian delegates. It was a profound geopolitical erasure of the very ally that made the Congress possible in the first place.
So this really brings us to a core historical truth about the 2 pillars of South American liberation. On one hand, you have Simón Bolívar. He absolutely provided the brilliant continental vision and the actual military execution in the primary theater of operations. But on the other hand, you have Alexandre Pétion, who acted as this crucial strategic rear guard. It was Pétion's radical, uncompromising demand for human emancipation that provided the tactical troop surge. He was the one who turned what was originally just a fractured, aristocratic rebellion into a true, unstoppable war for continental liberation.
Now, despite all that political isolation, and despite the glaring failure of the 1826 Congress to recognize Haiti, history still preserved the debt in physical stone and bronze. If you travel across Latin America today, you'll actually find permanent nods to this powerful Pan-American solidarity. There's a really prominent bronze statue of President Pétion right in the heart of Caracas, Venezuela, along with a plaza named after him. Down in Bogotá, Colombia, there's a dedicated monument commemorating the weapons and logistical support he provided. You'll spot statues and busts of Pétion in public parks in Quito, Ecuador. And over in Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic, you'll find statues honoring Toussaint Louverture, acknowledging his profound impact on the early Haitian Revolution.
So I want to leave you with a thought to chew on. When we consider those physical monuments standing today, and we really reflect on the history we've just uncovered, we have to ask ourselves, what is the true cost of systemic historical isolation? And when we look at a modern globe, just how different would our maps be without the tactical genius and the non-negotiable moral courage of Alexandre Pétion? Thanks so much for joining me in this explainer. Keep questioning the maps and keep exploring the history behind them.